MTG. Oh, wow. That's just lovely. Welcome. Thank you so much. I invited my whole family and friends, and everybody knew that Tuffet, my wonderful co-host, was back this evening, so everybody's excited. So welcome to OMTG show number 18. Now, I know I said last week that was show number 18, but it wasn't. That was show 17. I'm learning how to count remedial math. You know, it's very important. So the fundamentals, and I'm embracing them. So show number 18, Wednesday, January 29th, 2014. Hello, everybody. Now, on the show tonight, we have, as I mentioned, our fabulous co-host, my very own Tonight Show, Edwina McMahon, as I've dubbed her, dialect diva and accomplished actress, writer, independent producer, just an all-around creative phenomenon, Tuffet Schmelzle. Easy for me to say, Tuffet Schmelzle. That took some practice, let me tell you. And our featured guest tonight is another multi-talented creative entity, actor, writer, director, Jeremy O'Keefe. So we'll be bringing him on shortly. But speaking of marriage, before I bring my work wife on, Tuffet, yes, that's right. We are betrothed in the work world. I want to remind our listeners that if you have missed any of our past shows, shame, you can catch all of our previous show recordings at Spreaker.com/OH_MTG. And every time you listen to an OMTG show, a gay angel gets a deep tissue massage at Burke Williams. Doesn't that sound dreamy? Ooh. Let's go to the judge. Tuffet, Tuffet, hi. Hi, honey. Welcome to the show. We're just getting the work out with that applause button. I love it. So, yeah, so you've had your auditions for stage and for commercials. So you've just been going at it. You've been actressing all over the place.
I've been actressing all over the place.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Did you like our little OMTG encouragement to tell people to tune in, and every time they listen, the gay angel gets a deep tissue massage at Burke Williams?
See, now this is what the thing is. I want to die, so I need an angel that gets an OMTG tissue massage over at Burke Williams. How can that happen?
Yeah. We'll have to work on our prize packages. But so here we go. I want to go into our first segment, and I'm calling this Tuffet's World. Tuffet's World. Now, because, you're very connected to world events and everything that's going on around us, which I'm very proud of. You're just a very, very involved individual. You're very engaged in the world, in its surroundings, in its doings, its happenings. Now, as you know, the president just gave his 5th State of the Union address. Mm-hmm. And he noted that 2014 is a year of action, that opportunity is who we are. And on innovation, he mentioned that this is an edge America cannot surrender. And he pointed out that Americans need the skill sets of the modern age in order to fill the skills employers need. And he's encouraging on-the-job training and apprenticeships. So there was a lot of, I think, very positive aspects to this particular State of the Union address, the SOTU, S-O-T-U, and really that dealt a lot with particularly domestic issues, jobs and employment and education and all that. So I was really glad to hear those things, and I'm hoping that it can be a year of action. There's a lot of very, very preliminary talk about him being a lame duck president and all that. So I think that's a lot of hype, a lot of hyperbole in the press and within the Beltway itself. So I just kind of want to get your take on what's going on in the political world and see what Tuffet's world has to say.
I would be interested to see what the president can do in 2014 now that he's basically intimated that he will not wait for Congress to become active. I think that if he becomes the Obama that he was during his campaign of 2004, then I do believe that he actually could enact some significant level change that can bring us forward in education, can bring us forward in healthcare, and can ultimately bring us forward in the economy. But there again, if this State of the Union tends to be like the last two states of the Union, and we had the problems like we did with healthcare.gov and with kind of the inaction when it came to immigration, the inaction when it came to legalizing gay marriage, the inaction that has come from so many different topics, then I think the lame duck presidency, I think that's going to be something that will stick with him. Because Bill Clinton at this time was able to kind of surge through and start to really make some things happen before Monica Lewinsky. And I think right now, 2014 is going to be the definitive year. How healthcare gets implemented, how many people, healthy people, get onto the exchange, how it pans out by the end of 2014, and what else he can, push through without the help of Congress. And that's really going to be the defining year.
Yeah, and the key catchphrase that you're hearing from the White House is the pen and the phone. The president will use his pen and the phone. And so he'll use the power of the presidency because guess what, folks? He was elected. Okay, I'm not a cheerleader here for President Obama necessarily, but let's point out that as every member of Congress was elected, so was this president. So he does have it within the power of the presidency to use the power of the presidency, and that's why we have checks and balances as well with the rest of the branches of government. So it's not to say that somebody's going to take the the torch and run with it without any checks. So I believe that he's got to put it out there that he's willing to take action, that he will be a leader, and I think that he's more committed at this point to really express that commitment to leadership. So we'll see. Yeah. So, and I hope that we deal with these issues of skill sets that are needed for the modern American worker, for income inequality, that the minimum wage does get raised to $10.10 an hour, and that we deal with the big gap between CEOs and the average worker, which in 1980 was like 42 times the average salary, and now it's like 352. I'm going to be a little off on that, but it's around that number. That's absurd. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Is there anything else that's kind of particularly come to light in the political world right now that's kind of sticking out to you?
I think the thing that's been challenging me that almost makes me want to get out there and get an organization of women marching is Mike Huckabee's comments about birth control, about women's rights to choose, about
women's libidos,
health,
women's libidos,
and now the new topic is constantly, that rape. It's not rape if they're married. It's not rape if they're married, and it's starting to become. I rarely agree with her, but Carly Fiorina has said, "Can we make it so that men no longer talk about quote women's issues? Let's let women talk about women's issues." And I think as much as I love the progressive and enlightened and educated men like yourself, and I would say the vast majority of men, I'm so tired of hearing men weigh in on women's issues, and not even women's issues, but just on the reproductive and sexual health of women. That's really starting to push me over the edge and get me.
Tell me, what about a man's reproductive health? Yeah, and what about a man's health? Does Viagra have to do with anything other than helping him get a hard on?
I know exactly.
And most of the men who need the Viagra aren't of the, hey, let's have babies now kind of age.
Yes,
You know.
And if we're going to insist that women, have pictures of their fetuses and they can't, they can never donate their eggs or anything like that, then I want to make sure that every man, regardless of sexual orientation or age, is shown, their sperm up close and watching them die so they can see this viable reproductive life that's going down the tube when they masturbate. Yeah. Like, really, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, women have the unfortunate ability that our orgasms are not contingent on reproduction. So, of course, it makes sense that, we've got to start policing women's reproductive health.
Yeah, and it's just the idea that, that he completely overlooks this reverend former presidential nominee or was running for that
candidate
office. Huckabee, idiot. I'm just saying it like this. Who fails to mention that many women go on the pill or get prescriptions for the pill to regulate very difficult periods.
Absolutely.
And that it's a health issue as well, and it's also proven to help people with skin conditions as well. So there's a lot of benefits from the pill, other than just I don't want to get pregnant.
Absolutely, and
even so,
that kind of launches into my larger issue about the pill is that we're now seeing so many instances, and of course this is very much conspiracy theorist self of me, of so many women, so many instances of breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and cancers that are spread throughout the body, just all of these things that we're starting to notice in generations, like one generation before mine, maybe two, that have been around since the advent of the pill. And I thought, to myself, if all of these versions of the pill that are out there were pills that were on men, and we had this level of prostate cancer, possibly erectile dysfunction, and testicular cancer, all of those cancers, and we had the same kind of thing, there would be an obnoxious amount of research correlating between the two.
Yeah. Men would be screaming.
Exactly. They'd be screaming for some sort of result and some level of better care. But instead, what we're talking about is that it's not technically rape between a man and a woman when they're married. Wait, what?
And on that note, this is what we have to say about that.
I'm about to whip somebody's ass. I'm about to whip somebody's ass. If you don't leave me alone, you're going to have to send me home, 'cause I'm about to whip somebody's ass.
Yes, they're going to, honey, it's time to whip the ass cannon. Right? Yes. That is just insane. Yeah, so that kind of talk, that's just driving me crazy. But let's not get too bogged down.
2004.
What's that, dear?
I'm hoping Obama from 2004 just comes in, lays in, and then makes some huge change. That would be great.
I hope so. And just like we continue to see, the level of overt racism that has risen above the level during his presidency, as we get more women running for office, and as it looks like Hillary Clinton will probably run for president, we're going to see the overt sexism that has been a lot of the talk shows, a lot of programs were dealing with that issue over this past week. So we'll get into more of that. That'll be a heavy topic for us to talk about, because there's a lot to discuss there for sure. And I know that Jeremy will be coming on in a little bit, so we want to get to our next segment, because I'm really excited about it. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, in Tuffet's world, we have turned our word upside down, our word up segment. It's a word mind association game where I'll say a word, but this week, Tuffet will say a word. We've turned the tables, and Tuffet has come up with her own word up list for MTG. That's me. Can I survive under such enormous made-up pressure? I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so I will let you take the lead from here.
Okay, there's a theme, but I'm not going
a theme. Okay.
Till the very end. Yes. So the first word that I'm going to give you, legend.
Elizabeth Taylor. Leslie Taylor. She's a legend. And a friend of mine used to introduce me, at the piano bars. Houston Allred, whose father, Sam Houston Allred, was governor of Texas way back when. And he used to introduce me at the Oasis, which is no longer in Studio City, a piano bar. We called it the Old As Is. He used to introduce me as Elizabeth Taylor's great-granddaughter. So I think of legends. Yeah, I think of legends. I think of people who are sort of larger than life and just, I don't know. Yeah, she just, and with those white diamonds and all the jewelry that she had. Yeah.
Yes,
sort of,
absolutely.
Legend. I love it.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Confidence.
Tuffet Schmelzle. You're very confident to me. You exude confidence. There's such a I think confidence is it's such a personal thing, but I think it's a necessary thing that we all have to really fully invest in. It's and a true confidence, a gut level confidence, a confidence that you earn through hard work and determination. And I think that's you. That's you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Oh,
you're welcome.
You're just going to kill yourself. Okay, trend setting.
Wow, trend setting. Macklemore. I hope that is trend setting. I loved what happened on the Grammys, and as disappointed as I was that they didn't win Song of the Year, it was beautiful that when they performed "Same Love" and all of those weddings, like 36 or 37 couples.
Yes.
Were married of all different kinds of combinations, men and men, women and women, mixed race, all that. It was just beautiful. It was really a powerful moment, and I hope that trend continues. It's not a trend anymore. It just becomes a part of life.
Mm-hmm. Comfortable in your skin. Technically a phrase, but...
Yeah, technically, comfortable in your skin. I feel like me. I'm comfortable in my skin. I like my skin most days. Though I did have a little blemish on the upper right hand of my forehead, my 5-head, as people call it, because it's really larger than a forehead. But I am comfortable in my skin, and doing the show really helps me sort of share and show my skin, so to speak.
Okay, next one. Talent.
Yes. Talent. Talent is God-given. I mean, it's talent. I think everybody's got talent, but, it's very, very subjective thing. Talent, God-given. Yeah, your talent is wow. Talent. Doing what you love. Putting pure passion and drive into what you love, whatever your talent is. I think when you put that kind of drive into your life, you'll discover, I think, what your true talents are.
Yes, I agree. Gosh, SCG, you're so smart. I think you might be on to me. Last one.
Yes.
This is a doozy. Warrior.
Warrior. The president. I think you have to be. That's just on my mind. You have to be but a warrior in a sense of showing strength, showing leadership. And I'm not just talking about Barack Obama. These are world leaders and presidents of your high school class, or your college class, or or the Harvard Law School Review, things like that. You have to be a warrior. I think having that kind of warrior spirit, that kind of drive, that kind of willing to conquer, but not at the neglect of others, not at the fall of others. No, warrior in a way that you're willing to sacrifice some of your own time and energy and efforts, not just for yourself, but for the greater good.
Like Daenerys Targaryen.
Oh. I have no control over that applause. Not at all.
So the theme, I know you want to know the theme.
Yeah,
the theme was, since it's Grammys week, post-Grammys week, was the things that Madonna used to be. Confidence.
Oh, honey. You mean Colonel Sanders?
Skin.
Yeah.
Warrior, legend, trend-setting and talent. I was just, I mean, I hate to be a girl out on the playground, but she used to be so
who's that old lady who's had too much plastic surgery who looks like she just came from a Vegas, sideshow, as Colonel Sanders the musical. I was a little concerned. I was a little disappointed because Madonna, not only is she one of the pioneers, like you were saying, of Elizabeth Taylor, but of the women in music, and it was such a stark contrast to see Carole King, whose talent and whose confidence in her own skin, and I mean, she and just have her Carole
be
King
that
was
way.
phenomenal, and such love and light that came from her. Yeah, but Madonna, I'm sorry, I love you, gal, but no. Yeah. She came on stage, and this was me.
Exactly.
Yeah, I almost lost my voice screaming. That was as last week. Steve Silverman said that sounds like a rape whistle. Oh.
From Madonna coming on stage, I think a gay angel actually died. For her looking like that at the Grammy,
I think a gay angel said, "Oh hell no."
It's more than a massage.
I'd rather be straight.
A gay angel died.
A gay angel said, "I'd rather be straight," and denied who he was. Very, very good. That was wonderful. That was fun. We'll have to mix it up like that again in the future. So I think I see Jeremy coming down the road here in a little while. He may be. That may be here in the distance. I've got this wonderful bay window in the studio, so I can see people as they're arriving. So we'll go on to our next segment called Shitz Giggles, or crap that makes you laugh. It's a slice of life moments, Tuffet, that happen all around us. And this one is a doozy. Are you ready? This one is called, it's from the HuffingtonPost.com Weird News section, which I love my weird news.
I know you do.
Oh, honey. And this one certainly fits the bill. This one is titled, Naked Man Walks into a Bar with a Bag of Sex Toys and Asks, What's the Problem? Okay. Yeah. Okay. What's the problem? I love it. Let me say that once again, ladies and gentlemen. Naked man walks into a bar with a bag of sex toys and asks, What's the problem? Okay. The joke, here we go. The joke was already set up when David Sherrod allegedly walked into a bar, naked from the waist down, carrying a bag of sex toys, and asked if anyone had a problem. But the punchline never came, so to speak. Sherrod was arrested before he could fight anyone, which he allegedly attempted to do. He appeared in a UK court Thursday after the November 16th pub flub. Police said the 51-year-old waltzed into the White Hart Bar in Tunstall in a state of nakedness. I just feel like he walked into the bar in a state of nakedness. And carrying, how dare he, and carrying a bag of dildos. He allegedly declared that he'd fight anyone who didn't like it. He turned to face the customers and said, if anyone has any problem with me, they can take it outside. Now, I don't know if that's the proper Tunstall accent, but I'm going to guess. Okay. A bartender didn't even call the cops until Sherrod walked out and allegedly approached a group of kids. Ew. Right. That's when Sherrod admitted that he may have taken too much amphetamine. Officers reported finding the... I know. It only gets better. Officers reported finding the illegal amphetamines, clothing, and dildos in the bag. One of the clothing items was a jacket, which Sherrod admitted to stealing. Well, apparently stealing a pair of pants hadn't come to mind. His attorney said that alcohol has been a problem for him and that he took the drugs to get through the workday. Who hasn't, right? His offense has given him the opportunity to seek help to resolve his issues because he is shocked and concerned that he would have committed this type of offense, and his recollection of it is so vague and limited, like his clothing. Oh, my God. What would you have done?
Why couldn't this guy have been... Why couldn't he have been in California, especially if he was in Silver Lake or if he was up in San Francisco? They would have been like, hey, dude, no, that's on Tuesday, man, not Wednesday. Right.
Right. Could I come to MJ's, I would have taken one look at him and said, "Oh, honey, really, must you highlight your shortcomings?"
Yeah.
Sad. That is just not good. But hey, I have a feeling we're going to have a guest here any moment.
Oh my God.
Oh, my goodness. I know. Can you feel it? Can you get the sense of just, are you excited? Because I have a feeling that he is just going to be at the door any minute. But I'm going to, I don't like to rush to the door because I don't want our guests to feel like I'm, okay, fine. Okay. Hi, Jeremy.
Oh, MTG, hello.
Well, hi. I don't like to seem too anxious, so I wasn't trying to be disrespectful and not answer the door right away when you rang the doorbell a couple of times and you knocked very, very affirmatively.
That's right.
So that must be a sign that you're that you're probably as firm as a director as you are a knocker on the door. I'm guessing.
That's right. Let's hope so.
Yeah. Yes. And ladies and gentlemen, Jeremy O'Keefe. Here he is.
Thank you.
Oh, look, so we have a lovely studio, so we invited all of your friends and your cast from your show, from your new movie that's opening, Somewhere Slow. So they're in the audience tonight, and they're going to just love and support you. So every time you say something brilliant, which I'm sure is going to be often, you're going to hear them just give you so much love.
Fantastic. I love that.
Oh, yes. And have you met my lovely, beautifully smart and talented co-host, Tuffet?
Oh, my God. Hello.
Tuffet, your reputation precedes you.
Oh, my God. That's awesome. Thank you.
And her rack, too. Her rack precedes her, too.
Oh, my God. I know, right? Totally natural.
Right.
What?
It is natural. We see you and we just go, oh, honey, look at that.
Look at that chesticle area. Oh, my God.
Yeah, your chesticles. Famous. Now, Jeremy O'Keefe, listen to this about Jeremy. Jeremy is a graduate of the University of listen to me, put down the drink, Michael. He is a graduate of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill in BADA, B-A-D-A. What's that stand for, Jeremy?
Stands for the British American Drama Academy. So I studied in England, too.
Yes.
With an accent. Yes, I love it. That's you studied down south and abroad. I love it.
That's right, and I can't do either of them.
Really? Well, that's okay. That's why we have our
I do a Cockney.
Tuffet.
Really? I do a Christmas Carol children's theater Cockney as an old woman.
Well,
and that's all that I can really do.
Yeah. Well, Tuffet she can do any. Not only is she a brilliant actress, which I'm sure you will cast in your next film, but she can also help you with the dialects in your film as well. Mm-hmm. She's terrific.
Wonderful.
Hey.
Now, yes. Now listen up, audience. Jeremy O'Keefe's second feature film as a writer-director, Somewhere Slow, hits theaters in January 2014. That's this month. Now, winner of the Brooklyn Film Festival for Best Narrative Feature, Somewhere Slow, stars Jessalyn Gilsig from Glee and Vikings, Graham Parker Morton from Major Crimes, and Academy Award nominees Robert Forster and Lindsay Krause. His other works include the feature film Wrestling from 2008, the shorts Closure, also from 2008, and Finale in 2013. Somewhere Slow was an official selection at CineQuest Ohama Film Festival, the Vail Film Festival, and the Monadnock. How do you say that?
We like to call that the Badonkadonk. That's the Badonkadonk Film Festival. It's the
Monadnock Film Festival.
It's the Monadnock International Film Festival in New Hampshire.
Oh, of course, New Hampshire. Now, additionally, Jeremy directed a music video for Marriage Equality, we thank you for that, for musician Brendan James called Nothing But Love. And Jeremy lives in Los Angeles, thank God, so we can see him more often, but he teaches acting and works in casting for Greenstein Daniel Casting. That's Brett Greenstein and Colin Daniels. Daniel Casting. Yes. Wow.
Yes.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, I just want to delve right in here and tell our audience all about, a little bit about your film, because that's the primary reason we have you on here, but not the only reason. Yes. Now, you had some great press already on this, some good exposure. E.T., that's Entertainment Tonight, online, says about Somewhere Slow, Glee star Jessalyn Gilsig dives into a juicy, dramatic role in the new indie film Somewhere Slow, written and directed by our featured guest tonight, Jeremy O'Keefe. Jessalyn from Glee fame plays Anna Thompson, an everyday woman whose life begins to unravel around her. After witnessing a shocking convenience store robbery, she decides to leave behind her unfulfilled relationships with her husband and mother for the unknown. Along the way, she meets Travis, played by Graham Patrick Martin, a teenage drifter with his own tainted past, who seems to have everything that Anna needs and may just have something to teach her. That sounds like a really great story. Where did the kernel of that story come from? Because you wrote it as well as directed it.
Yeah, I wrote the film. This, I'm really excited about the film. We open on Friday in about 10 cities, and it's been making independent film is laborious. I like to say.
Now it opens Friday, January 30.
January 31st, Friday.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yeah, because when people listen to our show, they may be listening to it. Who knows when? We want them to listen to it right now. But yes, we want to let them know the date.
Yes, the story. It's a when you work in independent film, you get to work. I think in a lot of mediums, you get to work in a personal nature. And the story came from an actual relationship that I was involved in. And that and
when you were a teenager?
No, when I was a 40-year-old woman. I like to say that.
That's when I think I first met you, is when you were a 40-year-old woman.
Yeah, exactly. Before lots of surgeries. Lots of surgeries.
Convincing work. I want to know who did you work, but that'll be another story.
So it was based on a relationship that I had, and also a feeling of paralysis that I had in my life at the time.
Wow.
And I think it's a feeling of paralysis that's universal, not necessarily contingent on certain ages. But the moments in your life when you think that you just have to play with the cards you've been dealt, as opposed to thinking you can choose a new one. And
so the paralysis that you're talking about would have then taken form of Jessalyn's character in the film.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So it's
so we're very smart here at OMTG.
Exactly. I wanted to create something where it's not these giant circumstances that prompt someone to feel like they need to change. Because I think often a lot of stories will give you like major things that
big life crisis.
A big life crisis to make you feel like you deserve to change. And I think it's a much more common and relatable fact if it doesn't have to be that big of a deal, but you could still be unhappy. And I wanted, in an independent film, you get to explore sort of the smaller, quieter details, I think, because you don't have to appeal to everybody. So,
I love that, because, sometimes all of those little things in life kind of just all add up,
Yeah, they all add up, and I think because they're little, we often don't feel like we can change. Like, for example, I got in 2 car accidents last year. I was rear-ended twice. But, like, what's frustrating about getting rear-ended, it's either you want to be able to drive away fine or you want to be in the hospital with, like, a broken neck. Because otherwise you're stuck sort of dealing with this sort of, like, well, I can get through this. It just becomes a giant inconvenience, and you sort of have to suffer through it. So, and I think as people, we have a lot of circumstances that we just feel like we have to suffer for. We don't have something to take us out of the game, and we can't just walk away from it. So we're constantly walking around dealing with this sort of like light burden that just sort of amounts and builds and builds and builds and builds until you have to make a change. Some of us never make a change.
Yeah, I was rear-ended a couple of times in West Hollywood, but I was taking public transportation at the time, so.
But
I don't know if that relates. But yeah.
Oh, you're terrible.
No, I know. No, but
he's being serious. God.
I know he's being serious. That's why I can't.
Only pulling a Leo right now. Come on.
I can't help myself.
We're learning things here.
I know, but that's my old adage. I was born in Montana, raised in Ohio, and reared in West Hollywood.
That's right.
You do the math. Yeah. No, I'm hearing you because, exactly. It's little things like that because you have to do it. It's all those little things that just eat away at you. Because I, too, like yourself, like within a span of a year, had the same kind of experience where my car was rear-ended twice. You're like, Jesus Christ. Exactly. You either want it to be told, or just
you
be able to drive away.
You want to be in the hospital. You want to be in the hospital for like a month so people understand can understand and be like, oh, we're going to make it easier for you because you've gone through a tragedy. But most times we don't go through tragedies, but yet we still have this like crazy burden, and it's really frustrating. So I was able to use some of that, not that particular feeling there, but that's just an example that it continues to happen. Even though I have this sort of like ideal, like, oh no, you can change yourself. You're in control. It still happens to you. It's not something. It's not something that goes away once you learn it.
Well, I also want to point out I also want to point out to our audience who will be tuning in, because they're going to be people who are going to tune in and be really curious about the whole behind-the-scenes aspect to the independent filmmaking process. And to continue on with some of the great press that you got, I know that in Variety, some of the behind-the-camera info, because I want to give some shout-outs to the people who helped make this all happen for you. Screen Media Films is distributing your indie drama. Recent Screen Media releases include The Lifeguard, starring Kristen Bell and Kyle Patrick Alvarez's COG. Now, the film star, Justin Gilsig. What's that?
It's the COD star Jonathan Groff, who's now starring in Looking for HBO.
Looking, yeah.
Oh, love that.
Just so you know.
I mean, this is some good names here. And your film star, Jocelyn Gilsig from Glee, and she's also producer via her Lady in the Tree banner, along with Michael Anderson and our mutual friend Christopher Sepulveda of Logo Light Entertainment, and of course you, Jeremy, of Tax Free Films. And as noted, you're the writer and director of the film, as well as being one of the producers. So you're heavily involved on many levels here. And just to remind our audience, the film will have a theatrical debut in limited theaters and be available on VOD, that's video on demand, beginning January 31st, 2014. And your deal was made on behalf of the filmmakers by John Gersha and Peter Green of Film Marketing Services. I just think it's really important to throw out names so that people get familiar with this whole process and who's out there, who's helping really make things happen. Because writing a film, getting it made, pulling your team together, and then getting distribution, it's such a labor of love all along the way. And then you deal with the anticipation of the weekend. So
I always liken making a film, making an independent film to a novelist writing their novel. But it's rather than one person sitting there and writing the book and then giving it to their publisher, it's hundreds of people. Hundreds of people before you, an independent film, before you can even sell the manuscript, basically. So there's a lot out on the line and a lot of time and blood and sweat and tears and it's which is like MTG's normal Friday night, okay?
Right?
Can we do that?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Singer, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm not a single man anymore, so I don't hear on my door every weekend now. I don't hear that so much.
Because you leave the door unlocked. The door is unlocked.
Oh my God!
I leave it unlocked from my soon-to-be husband. So you hush, Jeremy O'Keefe. But don't hush during your interview. You can talk all you want.
But yeah, it's a niche. There are so many people. I stopped saying I in association with the movie a long time ago. It's we. It's we across the board, and it's because
Madonna should learn that from you.
Such a collaboration. Exactly.
Yeah. When her song won for that whatever film she did, it was on with the Golden Globes, not this year, but the year before. My film. She said my film. I swear to God, it was like 37 times. And I'm thinking, you don't do this by yourself. So kudos to you for taking the eye out of it and understanding. And that's another phenomenon I've noticed about the industry. People in Los Angeles, we'll sit through the entire film and the credits. The entire credits. But when I go back home to Ohio or the Midwest or the South, as soon as that film's over, man, those butts are out of the, they squeeze themselves out of the seats and then they go. But yeah, because it does. I'm always amazed at how many people it takes to make any film at all. So, I mean, how did you pull together your producing team and all these other aspects of it with Screen Media Films, and how does all that come together?
It's a lot of work. I wrote the script and I wanted to make the movie, and I got some people interested in finding financing for it. But it's really hard to get an actor to read the script if there's not money attached. So we put together a staged reading of it for two reasons. So I could hear it aloud, and so we could get an actor to read the script without feeling the pressure of whether they had to sign on to do the project. And my casting director, who you know, Jamie Radofsky, had worked with Jessalyn Gilsig before.
Jamie.
Love her.
Yes, love Jamie.
Jamie Radofsky is just a love. Yeah, we love her.
Yeah, she did Gilmore Girls, and she worked on, I think she met Jessalyn working.
That was Jamie. I mean, she'll have to. We'll bring her on another time. But we gave her applause real quick, and that seemed to assuage her. So yeah. Oh yeah, that's terrific. So you had your reading, and you were able to get
a reading to get Jessalyn and Wallace Langham from CSI and Veronica's Closet and the Larry Sanders Show. Wally came in and read a part for us. And the night was really phenomenal. And from that point forward, I said, Jessalyn, I want you to make this movie with you. I want you to make this movie with me. You have to play the lead. She's like, look, I know I'm on Glee, but I don't think that I'm necessarily a marquee star. So she always, and I was like, I don't care. I want to make the movie with you. So she said, let me produce it with you and take some of the risk on. So
wow.
So we'll go
then she's the right one. She's the right one for your film.
Well, she's
says
just
a lot.
phenomenal in it.
That says a lot. When somebody is that committed, that's beautiful.
You know, and so she took on the risk of making a movie. You know, making movies are really hard. And I was never born with I was never grew up with in communities of big pockets of money. Like we were just sort of like, how can we make this movie? We didn't, so we, pardon me. We sort of scrounged together some money from various places and got people to believe in the script and eventually raised the money and shot the movie and then edited the movie and then submitted to festivals. We got in some festivals, winning Brooklyn Film Festival, and then sold the movie to Screen Media. And then I'm very fortunate. Michael Anderson and Christopher Sepulveda are fantastic producers. They, where Jessalyn and I did a lot of the sort of creative development, and Michael Christopher, of course, participated in that. They really actually know how to physically make a movie.
Yeah.
Jessalyn and I, we would have been like, so where do we put the camera? And how do we do this? To some degree. And they're, they know how to do the scheduling and the hiring. I mean, they were able to hire such a top-notch crew, a really passionate crew, for the film. And it was a great meeting of a lot of like-minded people coming together to do this. Well,
your trailer, it looks beautifully filmed. I mean, it just looks like as good as any, big budget feature film that's out there.
Sure.
So the quality of the filmmaking looks, your production standards look very high. I would encourage our audience to go to facebook.com/somewhere-slow-movie, facebook.com/somewhere-slow-movie, to like it on Facebook, check out the trailer for it, and then there's information on where it's playing, and so we really need to fill those seats so that we can get it to go beyond unlimited playing around and just go. How many theaters are you opening up in initially?
How many theaters we're opening up? Well, I'll tell you what. We're opening in L.A., New York, Seattle, Phoenix, Chicago, Philadelphia, South Haven, Michigan, Otsego, Michigan, San Jose, California, and then back home where I grew up in Wilmington, Delaware. So that's 10.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
And then we're actually...
What about that place in New Hampshire? What about that Badonkadonk place in New Hampshire?
The Badonkadonk Film Festival? We played beautifully there. We had such a great response up there at that festival. What's great is it's going to be on demand. So next week on Tuesday the 4th, everyone's going to be able to get it on iTunes.
What platform? Oh, iTunes. Okay.
iTunes,
fantastic.
Universal Video on Demand's releasing. Mm-hmm. It's going to be on all those platforms, which is great. And then
what's the cost to watch it on demand?
Right now I'm looking at the iTunes thing, and you can pre-order to buy it for $12. I think you'll be able to rent it for $4 or $5.
That's fantastic.
On those platforms.
Wow.
That's beautiful. That's just, you know, and it's great because the people are getting, it's not, people are not getting it for free because they shouldn't get it for free. Everybody needs to to be able to have a career here and make a living. So I encourage people to, do the download, buy the movie, pay the $12, if you can, because that's still less than seeing a movie here in Los Angeles out and about.
Sure.
So, and support your independent filmmakers. And I think that $12 is a really good investment. You'll get the return on it because it looks really good. It looks like a fabulous story, and it's character driven. Would you agree with that? It's character driven.
It's absolutely character driven. But it's romantic also. It's romantic. It's about a 40-year-old woman and an 18-year-old boy. It's provocative.
I kind of love that. I love that this is a female lead of a certain age with a quality story about it that's just beyond kind of, I'm dealing with the fact that I'm not sexy anymore. There's a level of depth here. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a nice dirtiness it's I'm not going to say that it's a totally comfortable movie to watch. It gets uncomfortable at times, not just because I think we've created people who are more human, so they're kind of inconsistent. They're all not just one way. You don't always love her decisions that she's making.
No. Well, we're all flawed, so to me that's realistic, and I appreciate that. You're not trying to, candy coat anything, but through our flaws, you get to see the humanity of people. You get to see why they make the decisions they make, and hopefully then learn from them. And that seems to me like this is a journey for both of these characters, who are obviously at different points in their life, but obviously both dealing with their own, their own issues, their own, I don't want to say demons, but, their own issues. They're at a crossroads for both of them, in very different points of their life, Mm-hmm.
There's, and then I was going to say internationally it's being sold. Screen Media is taking it to the Berlin Film Market in February also.
Oh, wow.
So it should soon be worldwide.
Oh, wir kommen to Germany.
Look at this guy over here.
Oh,
I'm
Jeremy.
to see where
Can we rub elbows with you?
Oh, my God.
Can we rub elbows with you still?
Wait, what?
Can we rub elbows? Can we rub elbows with you still?
Oh, sure, of course. I'll always do your show.
Oh, thanks.
Oh,
we can rub elbows with
worldwide.
you.
Look, it's independent film, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see whether it gets me out of my studio apartment ever.
Well, and you deserve it.
You're not meant to be outside of studio apartments. A one-bedroom is a mansion. Come on now.
I know. That's what I want.
I know.
You know why I want a one-bedroom? For my cat, for Mimi, who I told you about. I want her to have more room. I think she's gaining too much weight. I want her to be able to run around a little bit more and get some of her saddlebags off.
She needs a bigger apartment so she can feel skinny.
She needs to scamper. She needs a place to scamper.
She needs a place to scamper, exactly.
Not only is he a writer, producer, casting director, as well as a successful, world-traveled, creative person, he's also a fellow friend to the felines out there.
Yes.
Worried about the health. Look at that preventative health care with cats. Jeremy O'Keefe.
I love that. And among his special interests are cats, hiking, music, and the Human Rights Campaign. Which I love it.
Well, I felt like I had to throw in. You said special causes, right?
Yeah. Special interest causes, things like that. Yeah, because I ask my guests to really delve into their psyche and share with me the inner workings of their being. Now, I'm wondering.
I got involved with when Brendan James and I did the music video for Marriage Equality last year, or we released it right around the election. It was really important to bring attention to the cause, obviously, to the cause of marriage equality, and to be able to get to do that, and especially after having worked on a film for 3 years, from inception to the release. It was really gratifying to have Brendan come to me and make this music video that we could then release right away, and then immediately. So
people can go on to
see how
YouTube.
People.
People can go on to YouTube and see Nothing But Love, right?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. YouTube, Nothing But Love, Brendan James, official music video.
Brendan James. Yeah. That's
and
fantastic.
It's a really beautiful, simple. I like to do things simply. I don't know how to do things. I don't know why I would personally want to do things. Everyone else can do things with complication and with a lot of style. I just kind of like to get to what the truth of the person is. And that's what we did with the video. But being able to make that music video, being able to have people I remember calling my father when the video was out, and people were responding, and it was such a rewarding feeling to create something that was changing people's lives. It was making people happy. It was making people feel good about themselves and feel loved, and especially the gay community.
Well, that's the power of music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the power of music.
And we saw that, as I mentioned earlier, we saw that last night. We saw that the other night on the Grammys when Macklemore performed "Same Love" and all those couples that got married. It was just it was fantastic.
That video came out after we had already shot our video, but we hadn't released it yet. And it's such a to be a part of that that movement.
Yeah.
And to see as much as some people like to say that the gay community is we're fine now, right?
Complacency is not a thing that we should be embracing.
Right. It's widely accepted in the liberal media now, so we don't really have to push for it. But there's so many people who don't feel, and I didn't realize, growing up with my own sexuality, I didn't necessarily realize that I feel sometimes like I've powered through it, I like to say, but there's still that part of me that felt repressed, that felt looked down upon, that felt not part of things, that felt less than, and to feel, I just saw even. Have you seen GBF? Did you see that movie yet? GBF. Gay Best Friend. It's out. It's GBF. It's by the director of Jawbreaker. It's out in theaters now. It's playing at the Sundance Cinema. But Christopher Sepulveda and Michael Anderson are producers on that also.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
So it's a hilarious
Christopher Sepulveda. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's a hilarious movie, but there's some moments, true moments of coming out and poignancy that made me cry, and I was like, oh yeah, I can relate to this. As much as I've known that I've tried not to identify myself, but define myself as a, I don't consider defining myself as part of any group. I think it's just sort of made me. It's like this is part of who I am, but it's not the only way to look at me. So to realize though that there is that to have been so affected is to love the little boy in me that is still scared of not being accepted. And that's being able to.
I know. I mean, I was, as I've mentioned in past show, I was ill. Really seriously ill, in last May of last year, and I was actually in the hospital for 6 days. And then I went to Long Beach to recuperate after I got out of the hospital at some very, very dear friends of mine, Bridget and Mike. And one day I was just getting a little stir crazy, so I went out to get my hair cut, and I went to this little salon, and playing on the airwaves in the salon, they just had the radio on. That song, "Same Love," came on. And just to sit there as I was waiting, just to hear the song playing so publicly.
Yeah.
And I just had this very private moment, but I was like, I got tears in my eyes. Tears started rolling down my face because I was like, to hear those words on public, on the regular mainstream radio, and have everybody. A lot of people sort of keying into it. It was, I tell you, I felt like I had something new had happened. I thought a breakthrough had occurred. Yeah,
absolutely.
And
to be, I think it's really. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was so thankful to be able to experience that in my life. It's just one of those moments I'll never forget. Yeah.
I mean, I think to be part of this movement must be what it to be part of the world while it's changing.
Yeah.
In this time, it's been really fascinating.
Yeah. Now, speaking of fascinating, you do have, as we mentioned, your special interests: cats, hiking, music, and HRC, Human Rights Campaign. Now, I wonder, since you did mention your cat might have a little bit of a waistline issue, have you thought about taking me hiking?
Oh, good idea. She would. I don't know if she'd be down for it though. That's the problem with cats, is they run you.
Yeah. Well, they do. So you might have to ease her into it. If you maybe put catnip all along the trail, that might help.
Right.
Yeah.
I try to sort of like, when she's just
adjustment.
laying around, I try to let her know that I'm going to the gym or that I'm going to hiking so she can maybe feel bad about what she's not doing.
Maybe if you include her. Include her. If
maybe
you get a little, if you get a little cat iPod, a little kitty earbuds, and then take her with you and put her on the treadmill with you. You can have her on a leash and put her on the treadmill with you. Kind of easy.
Or you could just play the song Timber over and over again. She'll run from that. Kind of follow her around.
That's right. I probably should just walk over to
Kesha's Timber.
Yeah.
Hey, are you
buzzing
on Kesha's Timber?
Oh my gosh.
Kesha, I am obsessed with Kesha. Anyone who's wanted to see my movie.
There's conflict on the show tonight. Conflict. Yeah. Well, you know she's in the hospital. Right?
You are amongst you. You are dead to me now. I'm so sorry, Mr. O'Keefe.
I know. Everyone just clicked off and is banning Somewhere Slow from their iTunes purchase.
Right. They're getting refunds right as we speak. No, Kesha is in the hospital. I think she's in rehab. She's got some eating disorders.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
you would have thought that Kesha would have gone to rehab for an eating disorder.
I know. Her like sodium level or something in her blood was like so low. Her doctors are like, you should be dead.
Was it from eating drugs and eating alcohol?
Maybe it was from eating dirt. You get so high, you eat dirt.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah. Are you okay, dear?
I'm okay. I'm surviving.
Because, we've all been We've all been fighting all sorts of illnesses, and this is what happens. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? We've all been fighting.
It wouldn't be an TV show unless we had some bodily humor.
And no one is talking about it. The end of the world happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
People aren't pretending. People are like, oh, it's just the weather. Don't worry about it. It's just the weather. Happen to be sick all the time.
Why worry about the weather when we're now producing more oil than we've ever produced before? That's what matters.
Right.
That's what matters. Now, going back to your special interests, Jeremy, what attracted you to the Human Rights Campaign organization, and how are you either directly or indirectly involved with that organization?
Well, that's the thing, is I'm trying to, with bringing attention to with the music video, really sort of what I'd like to do is I'd like to obviously be more involved. As I'm trying to get, I'd love to eventually, volunteer my services as a filmmaker to campaigns and to advertising campaigns and PSAs and stuff like that. So that's one of the things I want is on my list of things to accomplish this year. If anyone cares, there's clearly a lot of things.
No, I think the PSAs and things. Yeah, absolutely. Through music.
So being able to do something like that, because it's the stories I make are supposed to sort of subtly change people, but it was so fascinating to work directly with the music video and reaching out to the community and doing all the blogs like Howell Road and stuff like that and getting it out there that I was to be able to be more involved. It's like that's to be more directly involved. It would be something I'd really like to do.
Well, I think as you're evolving and becoming more prolific in your work as a director and writer, you'll have those opportunities. And I love that, that you want to use the work that you're doing and your talents and skills not just to create your own work, but to affect others. And I think an organization like the Human Rights Campaign, that's great. Or maybe like MoveOn.org and organizations like that as well. So that's great that you have a broader perspective on the world. And so that's why we have you on your own TV show.
What I'm looking to do, and sort of what the film does, Somewhere Slow does, is I like to show how we're similar, not how we're different. So the more I like to sort of show, and this is sort of what I've been doing with all of the things I've been doing, going back to the shows I created in college, where it was ways of like, how can we realize that we're part of a community, that it's a community with much more similar interests. I go back and my thesis in college was about patriotism in a post-September 11th world, And we did the show 6 months after September 11th, and I always talked about, you know, United 93, the whole plane took down, all the passengers got together. It's like we all have a common interest, but we don't realize and celebrate that in a daily manner. And that's what I try to do with my films, and that's what I'd obviously more directly like to do with something like the Human Rights Campaign and stuff like that. You know, we all just get busy. We get busy, and we get insecure, and we get we get brought down by having to pay our rent. You know, so it's hard to always get involved in
Tell me about
the community when we come together is so beautiful.
That's a beautiful comment that you made. I love that your focus is really about highlighting what we have in common, as opposed to people just pressing the points on, you know, how we're so different from one another. Yeah, I mean, we all have unique qualities, and we should always embrace our uniqueness. But, I mean, we live in times, especially politically, where it's just so divisive. It's just, and it's always finger pointing and blaming, and you know, and then gridlock, and nothing gets accomplished. Nothing gets created. You know, and people spend their time telling us what to fear, and you know, and nothing actually is. We don't actually move forward. We get stilted, and we actually end up taking a lot of steps backwards. So, thank you for having a really kind of a forward momentum perspective.
I think that we are we're a society restricted by concepts of gender, concepts of sexuality, concepts of age, concepts of politics. And I think that what I always try to remember, and this is when I teach my acting classes, is what I talked about, is I'm like, we're all just a bunch of, we're all the same heart and the same brain, the same heart and soul, my apologies. And everything else sort of defines what we are conceptually, gender and everything like that. And if we work for what we need and want as humans, with our souls and our hearts, it's the exact same thing. We all want to be loved. Everything that we're doing in life is to be loved. Mm-hmm. Is to love and to be loved, and that's why all the all the conflict is so shocking to me, because we all secretly want to be loved.
Yeah. So and I tell you, one of the greatest lessons I ever learned about love was it was at Valentino's nightclub in Canton, Ohio, summer of 1984, and it was from a drag queen. Yes, with Coco, from a drag queen who said, "It's not who you love or how you love; it's that you love."
Mm-hmm. And she said, "Honey," somewhere in there, right?
Honey. It's not who you love.
Yes,
exactly. And I tell you that I was 18 years old, so you do the math. I'm 107. Yeah, and it was just, I tell you that just as I've never forgotten. It's another one of those moments that just, it was like, ding, you know, one of those light bulb moments. And it just has continued to resonate with me throughout my life. And I just think that I always go back to that. Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's some, honey, so now you got me doing it. Honey, life is complex. People make it complicated.
Yeah.
There's the difference. Yeah. And I thank you again, Jeremy, for wanting to embrace the inherent simplicity in these concepts that we can all embrace, instead of getting bogged down and squirrel, look over here, and people are always taking their eye off the journey, and just getting bogged down in things that just don't matter. So I'm looking forward to seeing the film. But, something else that caught my eye, and when I always ask my guests to send me all this, just a variety of information, so I can just kind of pull from their life and to talk about what makes them tick. And your bucket list I found very entertaining, very specific, very, very specific bucket list, very entertaining. This is his bucket list, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1, spend 6 months living in a small town in France. Number 2, make a movie completely in French. Number 3, learn French. And number 4, star in a tap dancing Broadway musical. Now, I have to go back to the first 3 items. Yeah. That was like just out of left field. Yeah. I love that you want to make a movie completely in French, and then you put learn French. I would suggest, Jeremy, now this is just une suggestion pour moi, for me, I would learn French before you make your movie completely in French. That's just a petit bit of advice.
Yes.
What do you think of that?
I want to learn French. I love French films. I actually don't watch a lot of French films, but the French films I love. Look, this is why I like European films, foreign films.
Yeah.
It's because they also are much more character oriented. They're much more willing to take time and detail, and aren't so focused on getting you to. They don't do the work for the audience for the most part. And so I love French films especially gives me permission to make my film, basically, to sort of say, oh, you can sort of spend some more time. You don't have to make everything so obvious. You can be a little bit complex, and I'm just fascinated with it. And I'm insulted. Not I'm insulted. I'm ashamed of the fact that I'm not bilingual. I took 3 semesters of Spanish in college.
Je suis
so
très,
très honte.
Oui.
Yeah,
I'm lost. You could cast me in your film. I speak a little French.
Done.
I want to be in your French movie. All I'm saying right now.
Okay.
No, but I'll have to live in France for you. We'll all have to live in France for 6 months. I love that idea of a small France. I've been to France several times, and and I was fortunate enough to be able to drive out on one of the trips with a friend of mine, Larry Chrysler. Really, his last name's Chrysler. I kid you not.
Please tell me you drove a Chrysler.
You would think. Yeah,
Did you take a Chrysler out to the town?
We did. We drove. What? This is great because he had. It's a dear friend, and he had an apartment in the 6th part of Paris, and but we were in Paris, Nice, and Saint Tropez, and on the Nice part of the trip, one day we had breakfast in Nice, lunch in Monaco. Breakfast in Nice, lunch in Cannes, coffee in Monaco, and then dinner back in Nice. And that was one day, right. And that was driving around. And part of that day, we did stop into a hillside, old French town. It looked like a little castle, and it just had the kind of that wall built around it. It was like a little fortress of a town, and it was probably the perfect kind of town that you would want to live in for that 6 months.
Yeah.
But you would love it. So perhaps I will show you that village someday.
This is a terrible joke I'm about to ask, but did he change his name to Larry Fiat for the weekend or something like that? For the day?
What would you say?
Did he? This is a terrible joke. It's a terrible joke. But did he change his name to Larry Fiat or Fiat?
Larry Fiat for the weekend.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
I told you.
To film and writing. You're not writing your own material, are you? Oh.
Yeah. No. That was Mimi. Mimi just said that at me.
Oh. Dramas.
Mimi just said, here, try this one.
Exactly. Now, I think that's fun. And then you want to. Now, have you seen the movie Amélie? Speaking of great French films.
I have.
Oh,
I have. They're making it into a Broadway musical.
Yeah. Really? Oh my God!
I believe so. They're workshopping it.
Yeah. So if you haven't, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen Amélie, I would really suggest it. It's a beautifully told story, and it's just visually, it's stunning. It's almost like a fairy tale. I don't know how it's very fantastical in terms of and conceptual, but it's easy to follow the story, and the lead character, she's just so charming, and it's just a beautiful film. It was one of those movies when I left the theater, I felt so happy. I just felt so affected by it. It just felt, very, very good. Now, which leads me to your 4th bucket list item, which you've mentioned, and Tuffet got tremendous enjoyment out of it. You want to star in a tap dancing Broadway musical. So, like 42nd Street? Would 42nd Street count as a tap dancing Broadway musical?
Crazy for You.
Oh, okay.
Crazy for You.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. You don't grow up directing movies when you're 8 years old, right? So you're doing theater, like when you're getting involved in the arts. I wasn't directing a film at 8.
And that's just even
unless you're Steven Spielberg. I grew up acting, and I remember at one point my mom's going to kill me when she hears this, because she's going to be like, did I really set you off on the wrong path? But she said to me at one point, she goes, I think you're better. I was acting, and then I did Pinocchio, and I had to sing in it, and she goes, I think you're a really strong singer, which made me feel like I wasn't a good actor. And then later on, as I continued doing stuff,
isn't that funny what we hear?
You're a fantastic director. And I was like, oh, so I shouldn't be acting or singing anymore. But I'm kidding about that. But what I love is, I saw Billy Elliot. Who doesn't love the movie Billy Elliot?
Yes. Oh,
right.
You have to be dead on the inside not to love Billy Elliot.
You have to be dead on the inside. And I did dinner theater in Delaware where Susan Stroman, Susan Stroman, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, Susan Stroman, she's from Delaware, where she started choreographing. Bruce Willis actually did dinner theater at the same theater because he's from Penns Grove, New Jersey. But I started, I was always seeing Broadway shows. I was always doing it, but you always feel like you never started dance classes early enough, so you can't really do the Broadway thing. But I was like, you can eventually learn. Like, who doesn't want to be? Literally, is there anybody who doesn't want to be starring in a Broadway show tap dancing? I don't think so.
not who's living and breathing in this realm. No,
exactly.
They might be on Mars or something, but they don't live here.
I don't have much desire to act anymore. I love doing it, but it's just at one point I just sort of became more interested in how it was happening instead of what I was doing. Yeah. But it's like you can't deny how present you have to be. And I think that goes, it goes back to thematically sort of what I'm looking for in my work and everything is like the desire to be in the moment, the desire to be living a truth. And when you are on stage at the Winter Garden or the Braunhurst Theater or the St. James and you're having to perform for 1,500 people and you have to hit all those steps, you have to be in that moment with the lights on, with all that. Like there's no excuse. You can't not show up for it. And I think that, if anything, maybe that's just telling myself that I got to make sure I'm living as opposed to living in fear. They say, don't they say, if you're depressed, you're thinking about the past, and if you're stressed, you're thinking about the future? Those are both things you have no control over.
And if you're tapping, you're starring in a Broadway musical.
And if you're tapping, then you're starting a Broadway musical in the moment, in the now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. Now we've come out to trifecta. And there's nothing more universal. There's no more. I can't think of a more clear and concise universal desire for every being than wanting to star in a tap dancing Broadway musical. That is just for all of humanity. I think of Gandhi, pardon the pun, if Gandhi had tapped into that during his lifetime.
Yes.
Like, thank you. That was a pure accident, Tuffet. That was purely accident. That was magical. That was magical. But
exactly.
That's Gandhi screaming from the grave, so upset that he didn't think about that. Yeah. Now, we're going to segue into our next segment because this will fuel our conversation for the rest of the show. Now, we're going to our next segment. Jeremy, I don't know if I prepared you for this. But this segment is called Just the Tip. Okay?
Perfect.
How many times have you heard that? Now, Just the Tip, Jeremy, is a how-to moment where our featured guest, Jeremy O'Keefe, that's you, and myself and Tuffet will give you just enough info to get you started. After all, we're entertainment prostitutes, not whores. We don't just give it away for free. There is a small shipping and handling charge. Okay.
Yeah.
So here we go. Yeah. But it won't break the bank. Well, I'm sounding like Brenda Vaccaro again. So here we go. Our featured show tip this week, in honor of you and your work, Jeremy O'Keefe, is 9 tips for surviving an independent film shoot. Okay? 9 tips. And this is from Backstage.com, an actor's rag here based in Los Angeles. Well, Backstage West. So now this is by Douglas Terrell, and it was posted just recently, December 13th of 2013. Now, let me give you a little lead into this. He says, through my experience of working on low-budget and independent films for the past 15 years, I have learned a few crucial and important rules that can help you survive the jungle that is the independent film world. Working on independent films where the budgets are small and the sets are grueling and sometimes in extreme conditions, it's important to take control where you can. When you find yourself on a challenging set, remind yourself that you are there because you are taking action to move your career forward. The footage you get on this job will lead you to another job, and that's how you build a solid demo reel. Always remember, the incredible amount of experience you will gain from working on these shoots will be invaluable when you are on the bigger budget jobs. Now, the first of our 9 tips for surviving an independent film shoot are, we'll say, surviving a Jeremy O'Keefe independent film shoot. Number 1, know your lines cold. Rehearse your lines over and over and know them backwards and forwards. You don't know how many takes you're going to get because of the inefficiency of the production and lack of time and budget. Knowing your lines down cold ensures that your best work makes the cut. How do you feel about that statement, Jeremy?
I think it's true. I think the best thing you can do is be prepared. I think you also have to be prepared. You know, often you are jumping from you have to get the coverage. So you have to get you have like 2 takes for each angle basically. The wide, the medium, the close-ups. You don't really get to play a lot. So you have to know it, but then you also have to be willing to be flexible if they want to change it. So know it, but also be willing to change it.
Now, how do you feel about? Now, I was a little taken aback by, I try not to get too emotional, but I can't help it. But sometimes, because words do matter, and so his phrasing here, it was a little off-putting. I felt maybe because of his experience. Maybe he hasn't had a lot of positive independent film shoot experiences. But he says you don't know how many takes you're going to get because of the inefficiency of the production and lack of time and budget. Now, I understand the lack of time and budget.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of when he said that, I was kind of like, well, but who knows? There's often because digital has made it so easy for anybody to pick up a camera and make a movie, doesn't mean that everyone's managing and respecting people's time in the same way. So I think that unfortunately, for everyone that sort of goes about it in a good way, there's countless independent films, and look, that happens on a big budget movie too. I mean, inefficiency. I mean, I think that's how Hollywood's run. In inefficiency.
It's like a government runs, for God's sakes.
But I think that to sort of say that outright as that's just for independent film, I think is a little, I think it's not really accurate.
That's a little, we call it judgy, a little judgy.
Right, it's a little judgy.
Yeah.
But the truth is anyone can pick up a camera saying they're producing a movie, and without you have to approach the movie. We didn't have a lot of money for our movie, but we approached it and said we want to make sure everyone feels respected. Yeah. I think we went over 12 hours once, and I think we knew we were going to. So everyone was prepared for it, and everyone got paid for it, and we got their second meal and all stuff like that. But it's like, you have to respect the people who are working for you.
The bottom line is that, and I have to give, to our last week's guest, I had Steve Silverman on, and Steve created and produced and directed both Pretty, the web series, and The Inn, the web series. And I have to give kudos to him whenever I can because he really, like you, embraces that level of professionalism and that level of respect for every member of the team. And I tell you, you cannot take that for granted. So thank you for being a part of that aspect of the industry. That's a very positive aspect of it. So I'm sure the people who work with you.
I had this. I started out. I was a PA. I worked on a lot of film sets, art department, everything. Even after I made my film, I needed a job and was a PA on a commercial because I needed some money. And you sort of sit there, and I was like, when I asked for water as a director, it's everyone has to do their job. So the PA bringing the tables out of the truck and setting up lunch, that's a really important part of the day. What they're doing is really important. While I ask for water sometimes, it's so I can concentrate on the other important part that I'm doing. It's not so.
Not to be a diva.
It's not so because I can't get a water for myself. It's to keep it running and keep it efficient. If I have to stop and do something, then I'm not focusing on my job, and everyone is focusing on their job. And PAs are there designed to help support some of the other aspects. but I have so much
to keep the machine running smoothly. Yeah. Now, number 2 of our tips for this is obviously actor centric in terms of, but you know, you're an actor, but you know, from the perspective of a director and writer, and you know, running a set like you do as a director and wearing a producer's hat like you do. So having your perspective on these comments is very helpful. Now, number 2 of the tips is take control of how your character is going to look. Finding your costume can be as easy as taking a trip to the local thrift store. Taking control and bringing options for your director will help him or her, your character, and how your character looks on screen. Be open to the director's ideas, but have your own in case she or he has none. Own the character you are portraying from the start. Now, how does this apply to your film shoot, this last one for Summer Soon?
We had a full-fledged designer. We had a fantastic designer named Tasha Goldthwait, who is Bobcat Goldthwait's daughter.
Oh, wow.
And she was wonderful, and she came in with so many ideas. So it wasn't really, she came in with so many brilliant ideas, and it was, so in our case, I think it sort of depends on what we're talking about when we're talking about independent here, okay? Like, I think that you have to find out if you're going to be a designer. When you get hired, you say, am I going to be responsible for my own wardrobe?
Right.
Oh, you might have to bring.
Well, because a lot of you're talking obviously varying levels of budget. What do you mind stating, or would you rather not state what your budget was for the film?
You know, our budget was I'm going to answer this politically. Our budget was we made an independent film. I don't like to talk about the budget, but we made it for a tiny bit amount of money.
Okay, good.
I'll tell you about the budget in a couple of weeks. In a couple of weeks, I'll come back on and tell you what it was. But we still wanted to inform, you know?
Yes.
Inform what people think. If someone knows what it was made for, they go, oh, that looks like that.
Well, okay. Okay, that makes sense. So, yeah, because, again, that might be another judgy moment. So, yeah, no, that's good. But you used, obviously, it sounds like you had a great team, and you were able to use the money that you raised, the budget that you used it well.
Right.
So
I do think it's important, though, for you to have an idea and not expect, depending on some of these things people get involved in, I mean, to have a good idea of what you're supposed to bring, and then, as he says, of course, be willing to change it. I mean, that's the key part.
I think that also helps as an actor. I think that also helps you invest more in your character as well. So,
Right, of course.
Yeah. So I think that's an opportunity that perhaps you don't always get on a big budget film. I take that as a positive. Instead of going, oh my God, I got to bring my own wardrobe. I'm like, God, I get to bring my own wardrobe. I get to help dress my character. I get to help inform what my character is about. So there you go. There's a nice positive spin on that. Now, number 3, be nice and focus on yourself. Don't talk badly about anybody on the set. Pardon me. Remember,
especially those inefficient people.
Yeah, right. Yes. Remember, everyone is under a lot of pressure. Focus on yourself by either working on your lines, rehearsing with your scene partner while they set up the next shot, or thinking about how you want your scene to go. Focus on the task at hand and hold yourself to a higher standard than everyone else. Add to the project, don't subtract. Now, is this a conversation that you have with your actors prior to shooting? I think that if you're going to claim to be an actor, then you have to sort of understand this is one of the few careers I think that you can get involved with without any experience. You know, it's not like a surgeon, right? Where you have to fully be aware of the instruments you're using and the science and what you're actually doing to be able to pull off what you do. I suggest that there are as many artists and actors who save as many lives as brain surgeons, but you don't have to have the experience. So I think what's to me common sense, what is my responsibility when I take a job as an actor or as a director is to, of course, add to the project, not subtract. To see what can I bring, what can I do. I mean, to me it's common sense, so I don't think it's something we have to talk to someone about. But, you know, in this career especially, there's ways for people to get in who have no clue what they're meant to do. Well, as you know, anybody can call themselves an actor, right? But it doesn't mean you are. It doesn't mean you are, and that calling yourself an actor does not match with what kind of project you're doing. If you're doing a play in a basement, that's just as important as doing a feature film. You're acting. It's not as that's not what I mean about it, but what I mean when I say that there's
There's a level of professionalism. It's you just sort of have to know what you're supposed to do. An actor's just as important as the grip, as the electric, as the PA. It's as we were talking about before, it's all a collaboration. The actor's job is to act, but it's not to do. It's not any more important. So to me, that's common sense. If someone learns something, if someone learns that from reading in Backstage magazine that that's one of their responsibilities, then I think that they should reconsider what they're doing. If that's new information.
If they read that point and go, wow, I never thought of that. That should not be one of those like light flash moments.
That should not be new information.
No, exactly. Thank you. Not new information. Which leads us to number 4. Give the director different takes of your scene. After you do the scene and the director says, great, I got it, simply and politely ask, do you mind if I try something different just to give you some variety? I doubt he or she will say no. Can you imagine that? Mr. Scorsese, I have some other ideas. You mind if we do one more take?
Well, that's I say absolutely not. For the most part, depending on who you are, right? Like if Jesselyn said to me, "Hey, can we go one more time?" I would say, "Sure, let's go one more time. I got what I needed." And if there's you have to say if there's time, because once again, it's going back to that first point.
You got it.
We're also inefficient that we might not be able to get the schedule done. So I think it's just if there's time. Yes, I'd like to go. Hey, is there time? I'd love to go again. It's acceptable, depending on whether you're the lead in the movie or if you're the 2-line co-star. If you're the 2-line co-star, drop it. It's not your decision to make. He or she will ask you. Huh?
Yeah, it was like when I did an episode, my first TV gig. I was Power Rangers, and I had one line. And I was like, I kept running around going, can somebody run line with me? Would anyone like to run line with me? No? Nobody? Yeah. But no, exactly. Yeah, so I didn't feel the urge to go, I have some other ideas just to give you some more variety in the scene. I think his wording is a little naive.
The best common sense, I think, the best thing is to say in most situations is read the room. Is this the time to ask for another chance? I say that in casting too, in my workshops, and when people come into our office, I was like, I don't really think you need to ask to read again if you think it didn't go well. We know what we're looking for. We know what the producers are looking for. If we think you're capable of filling that, we'll ask you to do it again.
Exactly. I would say that Greenstein, Daniel, Brett, and Colin are really good at letting you know. They're very encouraging to begin with, but you know. They'll let you know if they need to say anything else. And you've got to be, like you said, you just have to be cognizant of what's going on in the room and learn how to read the room. That's very sage advice.
I always say when you walk into a casting office, we've already invited you into our house. You don't need to then prove that you need to be there. You don't need to tap dance. You don't need to entertain us. You don't need to do all that. We've already invited you in. So now do what you need to do.
I shouldn't dust and sweep the room before I leave it anymore? But you're fine. But it's like you don't have to because we're friends. We're friends. You're allowed to come over. You're allowed to kiss me on the cheek. You're allowed to do whatever. Not do whatever. You're in a relationship. Because that got me in trouble. Exactly. Luke, I don't do whatever.
It's read the room. If I was on the phone and you tried to sit there and have a 10-minute conversation with me, then that's not reading the room. Yeah. So we're working still. Yeah.
Well, you're so good at this because it leads us perfectly into our number 5 tip, which is listen and talk to the director. When you are on the set and you and the director are having trouble communicating, focus on listening. Reply back with, okay, let's try that, or yeah, let's give it a go, and just try what they're asking you to do. This approach shows that you're listening to your director and are willing to try their direction. It also diffuses any potential situation and ensures you stop the vicious cycle of you and him or her trying to defend your positions.
Yes, I agree with that.
Now, have you had any challenging moments in this last experience where you kind of had to diffuse a situation And if so, how did you do that?
I was fortunate in this last one that no. I mean, I think we had, we often had a couple rehearsals before we started. Everyone was sort of clear with what they were doing, and I was really lucky in that they trusted me. So we would go again, but I never really had to fight someone on what they thought their character should be doing.
Yeah.
And, I remember jokingly, so one of my best friends is a girl named Lauren Schneider, and she's in my first film wrestling.
Yeah.
And she plays Jeff Lynne's younger sister in Somewhere Slow. And during our first film, she came up to me, I staged this scene, and she came up to me, she's like, but the script says that I'm this. I was like, yeah, I know, I wrote the script. That kind of joke back, sort of like, I know that you're trying to follow the rules of what the script says,
yeah.
but the script is not that different from what I'm telling you to do. And I think it's common sense to listen and try, because you're hoping the director's established him or herself as someone who has the idea of what the journey's supposed to be. They're aware of of how it all falls in the edit. They're aware of all of that, so they probably know more. If you're having trouble understanding what you're supposed to be doing, you could say, and what are you hoping for this? What are you hoping for this to achieve, or what? Just to try to get some sort of context for what they're looking for. I have had to tell an actor on one of the things that I was working on, I don't care what you think, just say the line like this, because your thinking is complicating it. Your idea of what you're trying to create, you're unable to do. It's a really ugly moment for me, and it was my first film when I was 24. And I don't operate that way anymore, but I had to say, I don't care what you think. This is what I need. And to some degree, going back to independent film.
Well, perhaps in that situation, you had to cut to the chase.
I had to cut to the chase
to get him to get out of his head.
Several times I let him explore the moment, and he wasn't getting it, and he didn't have the tools to get there himself.
Oh, there you go.
So I basically
don't go to work without your tools, kids. Don't go to work without your tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he didn't fight it at that point. The problem would be if he had fought it at that point and claimed that he knew something that he claimed that he could do it, and he was just like, okay, I hear you. I'll do it that way. And that's all.
Right. Well, how do you establish that level of trust and understanding from the get-go, and then how do you nurture it to keep it, to sustain that level of trust?
I love
with
actors.
Your cast.
I love actors. Actors are the things that bring my stories to life. I say that a character doesn't appear until. So I think an actor's job is to need and to do, not to think or feel. So I think an actor's job is to need and to do, that combined with the text to create a character. So I don't think actors become characters. I think that's too complicated. You can't become another person. So I think you have to figure out what the character needs and what the character is doing to get what they need, and then that combined with my text or any text is what creates a human being for the audience. And I think that because I think people see how important it is to me that the characters work. And I think it's probably I'm unique because I didn't go to film school. I'm not quite interested in really cool shots. I'll use some cinematic moments in my films, but I don't. Yeah. I'm focused first on what the story is. I think because I approach it from that level, and I think it's because of my theater background. I think that's why. I think they just get it. They just get that I'm their friend on the thing. I'm not looking to show off some camera.
Yeah. Now, but okay, so like you said, you didn't necessarily go to school for filmmaking, and that's fine, because this is your path. This is your path. But as far as getting the look that you want for a feature film, how did you go about selecting your DP, your director of photography, so that you have somebody who has a gift and a talent that's going to be able to capture what the concept that you hear in the story that you're wanting to tell, that you can say that and they can translate that to visually for you?
Yes, my cinematographer, Justin Talley, is phenomenal. I met him while I was
say his name again?
Justin Talley.
Okay.
Are we clapping? No.
Oh, that's nice. It was. Oh, I should give him a little clap. I don't mean Justin, like a clap, but I've never given Justin a clap.
Justin Talley and I met on a different project, also cast by Jamie Radofsky.
Oh my goodness.
We love her.
We were both on the crew for, and one morning, early morning, it was a really early morning call, and I had slept, and I came out for breakfast, and breakfast wasn't ready yet, and he was awake, and we just started chatting, and from there, we just talked, and I got him the script, and he understood. It was just through a matter of talking. He watched my first film. He understood my sensibility. He understood that I don't like to appear in my film as a director. I don't like to all of a sudden the audience to go, oh, look at that shot. Look how cool that is. Like, that's not where I am comfortable.
You don't want to bring attention to yourself. Quentin Tarantino.
It was just through talking.
Yes.
It was just through him talking and understanding and communicating. So by the time we got to set, we didn't have to talk. It looks like
so what he really embraced point number 5 was listening and talking to the director, which is you.
Yeah.
By listening and talking,
it looked like he was just doing whatever he wanted, basically, because he and I never spoke on set. We hardly ever spoke. We just be like, let's do it again. But he knew exactly what I was doing. We hardly spoke. That's fantastic. Because it was wonderful. I brought him. I did my short film finale, and in Atlanta, and I brought him out for that because it was just like who I
from 2013, ladies and gentlemen. That was 2013's finale. See, I pay attention. Yeah.
That's right.
Number 6 tip. Now, I don't know, because it sounds to me like you took care of your actors and your crew. Number 6 says bring food. Take some of your own food to the set. Nuts, apples, and protein bars are great. This way you always have something healthy to eat, and you need to feel your best so you can do your best. Now, did you feed your actors well and your crew?
We fed our actors well, sure. Absolutely. I think that's, when you're making an independent film, I think the only thing you can spend money on, because you're not really paying your people too much money, if at all. We paid our entire crew, but the only thing you can do is feed them. You have to keep your crew happy. You have to keep your crew and your actors happy. You have to feed them. That's like the number one thing. Now, often I've been on sets though where the craft service is like a bag of Doritos and some gummy bears. So I think it's actually smart, depending once again on the level of what you're doing, is to bring some food just in case, like bring your kind bars or bring your granola bars and bring your fruit just in case they don't have it.
That's like packing your lunch for work.
What kind of products are we talking about here?
Yeah, exactly. But it's not. I mean, that's probably just a good rule of thumb, just to have stuff on you that you're going to like. Period. Anyway, just kind of keep.
I've been on commercial productions that have had some commercial television productions that have had abysmal craft service. I learned that really early on. Like, you have to bring your own food.
Yeah.
It's the same with any job. I mean, I don't necessarily go to it if I'm going to work at a doctor's office and I'm going to be an accountant. I don't necessarily expect there to be a really outstanding commissary at the bottom level.
Right.
You got to bring your own food.
We had a fantastic, I was actually really, really pleased with the food. We shot in Los Angeles and Rhode Island, and we had a great caterer here, and we had a great caterer in Rhode Island. But I have been on sets. The lunches and the dinners are usually like big trays of, there's a fish and there's a chicken and there's some sort of rice, and I was like, I don't like that kind of food. But it's interesting to me to see. I'm always like, but I've been on major budgeted projects that have basically the same food. It might taste a little bit different, but I always laugh. I'm like, is Juliana Margulies like taking lunch on The Good Wife and going to eat like a big tray of fish?
They're all
big tray of potatoes?
Delivered meals. Yeah. Why do you think all those actresses and actors are on some sort of meal delivery system?
Right.
Yeah.
I think all of us actors would love to just say, oh, yeah, we're definitely there for the free food. It's one of the perks of the job. Well, yeah, if it's like prison food or like public school and main cafeteria food for the junior high kids, like, no, absolutely not.
And that's which is why I watch Orange is the New Black, for the prison food. That's why I watch it. Yes.
It's also the rest of the idea.
Right, exactly. Now, number 7, speaking of food, it's related. Number 7 is easy on the caffeine. Don't drink caffeine all day on set, which is easy to do when you're just sitting around. Caffeine can sap your energy, especially late at night, and it makes emotional scenes much more difficult. Caffeine can also make sleeping difficult. Remember that in indie films, there is no 8-hour turnaround rule, so you need to be able to sleep immediately when you have the chance. Drink water, eat apples and nuts to keep your blood sugar up, and to give yourself energy late at night. So, it's like,
well,
all right, fine.
Look, I feel that's not obvious to me. Once again, who's taking this and learning from this? Like, I think it's probably appropriate because there must be. The guy who wrote this, I have no disrespect for him. He has to fill in the column.
Douglas Terrell, who's an accomplished actor and producer.
Does it always have to be 9
according to him.
things?
What's
the
that?
thing
Yeah,
always
9
has
points.
to be 9? Okay, so maybe he was searching a little bit for that one.
I think so.
But
I was like, that's just kind of like all right, fine. Yeah, don't drink too much coffee. Thanks.
That's kind of common sense. But once again, there's no reason to say it unless there's people who probably were like, oh yeah, that's right. Because once again, you don't have to be experienced or have a brain to get involved in this business.
Yeah, this is sort of a nuts and bolts kind of the one-on-one kind. But you're going to get people from all levels of experience. So I think it's good, to remind ourselves, what's a good point and what's
the veteran
to be healthy. Sure, to be healthy,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To be healthy to make sense to preserve the fact that you need to be prepared to do what you need to do, and there is a lot of sitting and waiting. Absolutely.
Right. And so to pace yourself and don't get all hopped up on coffee and especially when you know that you're
going back to finale 2013. It was a 3-day shoot, and it was 7 people in one room, and it was a really complex shoot with a big crew. That was all paid, and we all ate well. But I took in the matter of like 40 minutes, I completely agree with his point, in fact, because you shouldn't do this. But I had a quad espresso over ice from Starbucks, 4 shots of espresso. I had a big Red Bull, and I had an Adderall.
Oh my God! Are you trying to be Michael Jackson?
How did you not have a stroke?
No
kidding.
I
was literally walking into the room and trying to make decisions that weren't even close to being able to be made yet.
Oh my God!
No kidding. How
you were so lucky
any of
that
those
you were
synapses
24 years
working?
old when that happened.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Anyway.
Yeah, if you had been a 40-year-old woman when that happened, I don't know.
Oh my God!
If
you were a 55-year-old man with a little bit of plaque going on in those arteries, you would have for sure stroked out. That's amazing.
Yeah.
We would have seen you on the in memoriam section from this last year's Oscars.
It would have been my finale.
They would have. It would definitely.
Oh my
God! No kidding.
Two zingers.
Very good. This is a smart crowd tonight. We are a smart good team. Number 8. And this is interesting. This last couple of points are very much like rudimentary to me, but these are good points to remember, just depending on what level of independent film that you're working on. Number 8 is get your work. Once you wrap, get both the director and producer's contact info, and in 8 months to a year, begin asking for your work, and don't stop till you get it. Do you make sure your actors get their copy?
Yes, if they request the stuff, we had various points. We couldn't not give. I could not release any. Footage from the movie for any public sort of use. So if I gave until after we premiered at festivals.
Yeah.
And they could not post it anywhere. They could not post the reel on YouTube. They could not post the reel on Vimeo. They could not post it. It could be for internal use only, so they could send the DVD or the secure link to an agent. But yeah, it has to be. We sign away our rights to the movie to some degree.
Yeah.
So it's
once
not my movie to
distribution,
distribute it at one point. Yeah. At one point, Screen Media has to protect their film and what's out there. So it all has to be. And I think that's a really important, because that's not something I thought of until I realized, I was like, I can't make this decision. It's not mine to give away. Obviously with TV, it's easy because it airs and then you get it. Then you can get it from somewhere. Yeah. So obviously it's already been released.
Right.
If you do a major movie, they're not going to give it to you until it comes out. So I think the problem is and the challenge in the industry is making a film and getting it to where it is released, where it can be years. Like, people wanted their footage from my movie a year and a half ago, and I couldn't give it to them. And and now they can use it, But it's like you also have to sort of be patient in that sense. Like you have to.
Exactly.
Really
so I mean, as an actor, I would want to, knowing that the goal is to get distribution. So you got to be patient. You got to just, as actors, we just have to keep at it, keep working, work.
Right.
And we'll get, and keep on top of things. Obviously, just keep track of your work, so you can copy when it's time. But you don't want to just rush everything because the goal is to actually get a film distributed so that it gets a release and a public release, like what you're doing with Summer Slow.
If 8 months later you hound the producer and the director and say, hey, can I get my reel? Can I get my scene? And they go, yes, let me get it to you, and then they don't, hound them. Keep hounding them. If they say, well, we can't do it yet, we're hoping to get into festivals, blah, 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 blah. Well, what festivals are you looking at? Oh, hopefully we'll know by November, so ask again in November.
Yeah.
And then,
I hounded a producer and director of an independent film that I was in that was a comedy, and it was only comedy stuff. I hounded them, I'm not kidding you, for 5 years, and I never got any response. And finally, a friend of mine over at one of the big management firms requested it and I had contacted, they sold the film, they took it to festivals, it got sold, it got released in Germany, like, it was released everywhere. They were just ignoring me. And that, I think, is what impact stays are referring to. You're obviously one of the good filmmakers that will at least say, hey, this is the situation. It's being distributed. It's being shopped around. I will get you your footage as soon as possible. But I've heard so many nightmare stories from actors that they're like, yes, great. I'm so excited to do this. And I will do this for very little money because I'm really excited about the character. And I want to showcase it. Yay. And then they have to wait years.
You know what I think? I am humbled by the fact that someone wants to take something they did that I did and put it on the reel and use it as part of their. Wow. I'm like, oh wow, sure. If you think this is going to be helpful for you, by all means, because people give me so much that if I can give them so much, then if I can, that's so easy, and that's part of part of what we're supposed to do. But like, it's but not everyone's like that. I'm constantly reminded that not everyone's like that.
And I think we'll all be humbled by the final point, the 9th tip for surviving a independent feature film shoot. I think you'll love this. It's very poetic. Number 9, don't get drunk the night before your scene. Enough said. I'm like, don't get drunk
I learned
the night
the
before your
way
scene.
on that.
Yeah. All right, Tuffet.
Right.
Stop drinking before you shoot. Yeah, I'm like, I don't think we need to discuss that. So, oh my God. Yeah, this was brought to us by Douglas Terrell, who is an accomplished actor and producer, according to his bio. Now, his website is Douglas Terrell, TAUREL.com, DouglasTerrell.com. And on Twitter, he's at Douglas Terrell. So if you didn't agree with some of his points, or you did, let him know. Okay, now we're going to end our show tonight on a musical note, as we always do, Jeremy. And so I try to, think about the songs. I've incorporated one of the songs that you gave me as one of your song list. You gave me 3 songs that you just love and adore. And let me go back to my list and let our audience know 3 songs that you just love and adore. Favorite old school songs, according to
by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. What About Your Friends by TLC, Knockin' the Boots from H-Town Boys, and Another with Biggie Smalls featuring Lil' Kim. Okay, Lil' Kim. But one of those 3 songs is in the list tonight. But our first song I'm going to play was one of the winners on the Grammys the other night, a 17-year-old young lady from New Zealand who I think is just terrifically talented. But there's a message in this song which I think kind of applies to the path of an independent filmmaker. So here we go.
I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings in the movies, and I'm not proud of my address. In a torn up town, no postcode envy, but every song like gold teeth, gray goose, dripping in the bathroom, bloodstained ball gowns, trash in the hotel room. We don't care. We're driving there, and we'll never be royal. It's a running our blood. That kind of love just ain't for us. We crave a different kind of buzz. Let me be your ruler. You can call me Queen Bee, and baby I'll rule. Let me live that fantasy.
Yes, that was Royals by a 17-year-old phenom, Lorde, Lorde. And if you saw her perform on the Grammys, I thought she was terrific. And she won a couple of Grammys as Best New Artist and a Grammy for that song. It was either, I think, Song of the Year, but not Record of the Year. I think, terrific. But, like you mentioned, Jeremy, none of us, the three of us, none of us were born, royals, and with just, lots of deep moneyed pockets. So I just love that song because she's like, we drive Cadillacs in our dreams. And that's what we're doing. You're driving a Cadillac in your dreams, and your Cadillac right now.
The first screenplay, we drive Larry Fiats in our dreams. So the first screenplay.
We drive Larry Fiats in our dreams and stay in French villages for 6 months learning French so we can do a film completely in French and tap dance our way to Broadway. See how that all comes together. I love it. Now, this second song.
What is my character? I always wanted to drive a Jeep. And I was like, I'm going to drive a Jeep then in my script. When I was 16, I wish I had a Jeep. So in my first film, I wrote a character who drove a Jeep, and then I changed it to a minivan. Because that was more realistic.
Well, this next film has to be a Jeep. Okay? Your next film your character has to be, you have to realize that dream. You have to see it on screen. Now, this next sex song. Okay.
Wow.
I can't wait for Luke to get home. Okay. This next song, right, hello. This next song is a choice of Jeremy's, our featured guest. And this is TLC with What About Your Friends?
Great.
What about your friends?
And you pointed it out right in the rap that I used to know, word for word.
You mean you're missing your cue and you don't know your lines? Did you not listen to the top 9 list?
You might get the 9 tips.
Exactly.
That was one of the tips. That was like learn your lines, know your lines cold. Oh, Jeremy, live the dream.
I knew them. I was about to go right into it.
Oh, okay.
I should have gone right into it.
Oh, I have, but that's an appropriate song. I thought, it is. What about your friends? Because when we're in the independent film world, a lot of the people we surround ourselves with, the teams that we build, are the people we know and the people that we've worked with and who become our friends, our family. So I think that's an appropriate song for our show tonight. So thank you for that wonderful offering, your old school song that just fit right in perfectly.
Jam.
Mm-hmm. Now, this next song is from a Broadway show because, come on, you want to be tap dancing on Broadway, so I had to have something that's from Broadway. This was originally from Sunday in the Park. Right. This was originally from Sunday in the Park with George, but it was featured on Barbra Streisand's Broadway album, which I just loved and adored way back when I was in college, back at Bowling Green State University in Ohio. And I love the message in this song because this is something you definitely have gone through as an independent film maker. So let's listen closely to Barbra tell us how it is.
Okay.
Look, I've spent a lot of time working on this.
Look, no one's going to buy it. No one.
Well, how can
Nobody in Middle America, anyway. That's for sure.
He's right.
Well, why?
Sweetheart, it's just not commercial.
What is commercial?
It's not what's selling nowadays.
I
mean, personally, I
Be
love it.
nice, girl.
Nobody's into this kind of material.
You have to pay a price, girl.
This album needs a hit single we can push.
They like to give advice, girl.
The whole idea is too risky.
Don't think about it twice,
The audience
girl.
won't understand this kind of thing.
It's time to get to work. I disagree. Why don't you wait till you hear it?
This is like your old stuff.
Art isn't easy,
We got to appeal to the kids.
even when you're hot.
Why would you want to make an album like this anyway?
Advancing art is
I think you
easy.
ought to talk seriously about it.
Financing it is not.
Why take chances?
A vision sets a vision if it's only in your head.
Nobody respects your artistic integrity more than I do.
If no one gets to hear it, it's as good as dead.
You have to think about your career.
It has to come to life. Bit by bit, putting it together. Piece by piece, only way to make the work of art. Every moment makes its contribution. Every little...
Go, Jeremy, go. Pick up.
Yes.
There's no rap in this.
I'm a little too friendly, so to speak, hypothetically say. Right? I'm supposed to finish?
Wow.
I love it. I love putting it together. But, I mean, how much of that at the beginning, I mean, have you heard as a writer, director, producer? Yeah, it's not commercial. Why would you do this? Why do you want it? Yeah, all the no people, all the doubters.
Well, it's important. I like that you play that song because what? Sunday in the Park in the George is about painters, right? I've never seen it.
Yeah. Yes. It's about a particular
and I like
painting.
To think about.
Yeah.
The only way I can really justify me making movies is because you make them, you put them out in the world, you hope that people will like them. But I don't want to paint another painting. I want to paint my paintings, and that's the way I do it. And it's sort of like you have to put it out there, and whether people like it or they don't, that's what I have to do because I'm not going to paint Iron Man 4. It's just not in my wheelhouse.
Yeah. Right.
I don't want to paint on commission either.
Jeremy,
so it's sort of like
speaking personally, I love it when you put it out there.
Thank you. Yes, you do.
You're welcome. Yes.
Hey-o.
I encourage you to keep putting it out there. Okay. So Barbara Streisand putting it together, and you are definitely putting it together, and thrilled to see that Somewhere Slow will be opening on January 31st. But speaking of Somewhere Slow, I picked this next song for your film in particular because it has part of your title in its title. This is by Kylie Minogue, and it's called Slow.
Nice.
Knew you'd be here tonight, so I put my best dress on, boy, I was so right. Our eyes connected, no, nothing's how it used to be, don't second guess it. Tracking all this feeling, full focus, close up, you and me, nobody's leaving. Got me affected, from me 180 degrees, so electric. Slow down and dance with me, yeah, slow. Keep the beat and move in my body, yeah, slow.
See how I did that? Somewhere Slow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when you do the music video for the film, that you're going to have Jessalyn and Graham Patrick Martin, Jessalyn Gilsick and Graham Patrick Martin in the video, and Jessalyn can be singing that to him. Somewhere Slow. Isn't that sexy?
Oh my God.
Do you know that song? Kylie Minogue?
No, that's certainly no Kylie Minogue. I don't know if I've heard that one.
It's a sexy video. It's very gay. Very, very, very gay. It's very sexy. You'll love it. It's her and a bunch of men in bathing suits. All I'm saying.
I'm logging on right now.
Check it out. Slow. Yeah, and God love her. She's a breast cancer survivor. We love her. So, but to top off
you said she's the best cancer survivor for a second. As if you were ranking them.
She's the best cancer survivor you could ever hope for. No, she's a breast cancer survivor. Yeah, so, like my mom. So here we go. But my mom never sang any sexy videos. Go figure. So our number one song. Tuffet Schmelzle, you always have to put your foot in it. I love it. So here we go. I remember. Thanks, dear. How do you think I got into this world? It wasn't because she was slow. Okay. Our number one song, and this is for all of us because this is how I feel what we're doing. I'm thrilled about, I'm having so much fun with the show. And Tuffet, I'm so proud of you and all the work that you do. And Jeremy O'Keefe, our writer, director, fabulous actor, and tap dancer and singer, all those things. Because I'm just, I love the artist in you. And congratulations on the film. And this is something I feel that we're all doing it. This is David Naughton and Making It.
Great.
If you aren't bouncing up and down in your seats, I don't know. Then you're like Elliot. You're dead inside. You're dead inside.
Mimi,
were you bouncing your seats?
Dancing.
I love that song.
That got my cat moving. So we just lost the goat.
Hey!
Oh my goodness!
Oh, we found it. That's the key to Mimi's weight loss is Making It by David Naughton. I love that song, and I'm going to try to find a really hot trans remix of that. Maybe make it my new theme song. For OMTG.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
2014.
Right? We're going to see that it's a year of action, according to our president. Now, I want to thank you. Thank yous go out to our show's producer, Christopher Taylor, and our fabulously creative co-host, the delectable, ever-present Tuffet Schmelzle, and our featured guest, an amazing talent, an up-and-coming screenwriter and director, Jeremy O'Keefe, who has dreams of tap dancing on Broadway. Now, for more information about our shows, our co-host, our guests like Jeremy O'Keefe, and our topics, just go to lnrradio.com. And remember, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Spreaker, that's speaker with an R.com, and share your show with everyone you know. Thanks for tuning into OMTG on the LNR Radio Network. We're broadcasting every Wednesday. Let's make it a date. But behave yourselves, kids. I'm taken. Thank you, Jeremy, so much for joining us tonight. You were
thank you
fabulous
for having me. This
guest.
was fun.
Oh, man, I can't wait to have you. You'll be had again. I can't wait to have you back and to talk about the success of the opening of the show and that and to be able to announce that it's getting a wider release. So we wish you all the best on the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Remember that Somewhere Slow. Go to facebook.com/Somewhere Slow Movie to find out more about the film. And with that, we'll bid adieu.